What's good, family, and welcome back to the world of Prince. And today's video is going to be Drag Race Recap, where we look at this past week's episode and I give my opinions on it. Before we get started, don't forget to sub and hit the notification bell for more Drag Race content. So, without any further ado, let's get into this video. So last week we sadly had to say goodbye to Kyria C. Davenport. Again, she was one of my favorites, so I am personally sad to see her go. So the girls revealed their lipstick and it shows that it was a unanimous vote to have Kyria out. So, you know, it was just her time to go. It was her third time in the bottom, so I can kind of see that happening. Jen picks this moment for some reason to point out, she's like, yeah, so what I'm looking around and seeing that we have 5 people who won and 2 people that haven't. So she basically is pointing out Eureka and Pandora for not having a win. And, you know, they just basically trying to see who the front runner is. They're trying to gauge the competition, see who's at the front, who's last, you know, to see what her stance is. It seems like a kind of an insecure move to do, but, you know, this is Jen. Ru walks in and tells the girls that this week's Maxi Challenge is going to be Show Up Queen. It's where the queens have to create a solo verse and get into groups of 2 and perform, you know, their verse to choreography. So they started to pick teams, and Pandora sad ass is picked last. Like, I seen a post and a couple of people who have been saying like this. Pandora just seems like she's just sad to be in here, and I'm kind of like getting into it now. It's like every time she says something, it's about her being sad and woe is me. Overall, I'm over this whole sad Pandora thing. I like her, but you know, stop being sad. So the queens start rehearsing their verses for Show Up Queen, and a couple of standouts for me were Sonique, Ginger Minj, Raja, and Trinity. It seemed like they had kind of like very inspirational verses, you know, just from the recording. It seemed like those were the standouts for me. The worst for me were Jan and Pandora. Jan just seemed like she just did not quite understand the assignment at all. It's like she didn't quite understand that it was motivational and it wasn't just talking about herself. She just seemed like she just was out of her element almost. And Pandora was just boring and it just wasn't my thing. It just doesn't seem like she was giving a good performance. So the girls start rehearsing their choreography, and up first is Team Raja, Trinity, Jen, and Pandora. And for some reason, Ginger Minj took this moment out, saying that she wants them to make sure that everyone gets the choreography so it doesn't look sloppy, which I was like, first off, mind your business, and secondly, if it were me, I would just want them to crash and burn. Like, it just seemed like Ginger a lot of the time just puts her opinion out there when no one asks for it, honestly. But it made for good TV. I was just like, why would she say that? And Trinity wasn't having it. She like held her own, was like, you know, whatever. Seemed like Trinity's team, of course, were a little stronger than Ginger, Sonique, and Eureka's team. I think as far as Ginger, Sonique, and Eureka, they just all were trying to have too many ideas in one thing. I feel like they would have benefited more from having like a team leader, so you can all follow one thing instead of having everybody else do different things. So next is the main stage. They start doing the final performances, and I think they're fine. Standouts for me were Raja, Trinity, and Sonique, and Ginger. I thought they all were collectively really good. Trinity was a standout for me. I thought she did overall the best. Her steps on point. She looked like a you know, like she was in a pop group. I think she just, you know, really nailed the assignment. Raja, again, you know, she did really good too. I thought her verse was good. Her performance was very, you know, energetic and everything as well. You know, Ginger had a really good verse, and I thought she did a really good job. And Sonique I think she just did a really good recording, and she looked great. Eureka kind of fell into the background, honestly, for me, and I was shocked. It seemed like she keeps doing the same moves. I'm just kind of getting tired of Eureka's same thing, but I think she did fine. I think they could have did better overall, but it was fine. Next is the runways. Instead of doing the usual, what I was doing, tooting and booting, I think what I'm gonna try is just giving my top looks of the week and, you know, who I thought was the worst. Pandora and Jan looked fine. I don't think they were the worst of the week. I kind of think they were the middle role. I think they were, you know, it was just fine. It wasn't impressive, but, you know, both of their garments were well made, and I thought, you know, it was an overall complete look for them too. Raja gave a little cute look. It was kind of simple, but her body looked snatched, so I thought she did a really good job on the runway. Trinity kind of blew me away, which she has been doing almost every week, and this week was no exception. It was just a very extravagant drag, which was what you would expect from Allstars. So I think Trinity probably had the best runway of the week to me. You know, it was a very, very well put together. It looked expensive. I just think she did the best. So Neek also did a very good job to me. She gave like this green bird carnival look, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what the inspiration was, but she looked like a very expensive drag queen. She looked very good. The worst to me was Ginger Minj. I feel like Ginger thought she looked snatched, and not refuting it. She didn't look bad. It just like one of the judges said, the fabric kind of just swallowed her up. It was like all this green type of fabric, and I don't think she wore it. I think it wore her. So you know, I thought she was the worst of the week. Ginger, it was just not my favorite mom. So Ru makes his decisions based upon the judges' critiques, and he finds that Trinity K. Bonet is this week's challenge winner. I think Jan and Pandora did the worst this week, so I think it was the right decision to have them in the bottom. I just think they were the weaker ones, and there's really some really strong queens this season. So Pandora and Jan both start crying when they start explaining, you know, how they feel about being in the bottom, and you know, it is what it is. I did like to see that Pandora was opening up a little bit more, and she was sharing a little bit more about herself. You know, it was good to see Pandora, you know, step a little bit out of her shell more than she usually does, so that was good to see. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of either one of these queens, so their little crying and everything at this point, I'm just like, girl, either you got it or you don't. Like, crying is fine, but you know, what's necessarily holding you back from doing well? You know, Pandora, I think she just doesn't have it. And Jan, I just know Jan's not even ready. Ruth said that her performance lacks soul. You can't win with that. So the girls start putting their lipstick and casting their vote, and Sonique just does this little turnaround thing that I was like, Sonique, you're the one. Like, it was just funny, cute, everything. I was like, Sonique, do your shit. It was just a cute moment. So it's time for the lip sync, and as the curtain rolls, it shows that this week's lip sync assassin is no other than the stunning, legendary Alexis Mateo. I think Trinity would have did better, but unfortunately it was this really gaggy moment where Trinity's wig came off, and she just was like, ooh, I'm gagged, and you know, started feeling for her, and then, you know, just thugged it out and just finished the lip sync without it, because I guess at that point she threw it off and it couldn't, you know, she couldn't put it back on, basically. I think Trinity would have probably won if she didn't lose her wig. Trinity lost her wig, and Alexis Mateo did a reveal, so she won. In a gag-worthy moment, Alexis Mateo reveals that they basically had a split decision between Jan and Pandora, which is like a first time in history. I was like gagged by this moment. Ruth reveals to us that in All-Star rules, it deems that if this does happen, a tie occurs, then the power of elimination falls back to the top All-Star of the week. So basically, Trinity has to make the decision. I was like, this is gaggy. And she revealed that unfortunately she has picked Jan to get the chop. It was unfortunate to see Jan go. I do think Jan could have showed more. I just don't think she quite understood her drag and understood everything that was being given to her to excel. But it is sad to see her go. It was a nice moment too to see Trinity give her this very inspirational talk where it was a little contradictory from what the judges said. She was like, stay at 110, girl, don't stop for nobody. I was like, okay, girl. The judges told her not to do that, but go off. I want to thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more Drag Race content. And tune in next week for next week's episode of Drag Race Recap. This has been Prince, and I'm out.